Marvel, Hela's husband breaks the universe. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 31, Professor X begged for mercy. Mystique, whose real name was Raven Darkholme. She was adopted by Professor X when she was a child, and she was regarded as Professor X's childhood sweetheart. But later, due to the inconsistency of ideas, Mystique left Professor X and followed Magneto. For the great cause of mutants, the Mystique dared to do anything and took many risks. But what Mystique didn't expect was that it would be herself that would make the Brotherhood of Mutants fall into ruin. Looking at the mutants in the warehouse who had been killed by Yi-Bai, Mystique trembled, both angry and frightened. She couldn't think that Yi-Bai, a guy who seemed harmless to humans and animals, would be so cruel. From the beginning to the end, a total of less than 1 minute. More than 30 elite mutants from the Brotherhood of Mutants were killed by Yi-Bai in seconds. And she was the last survivor. Looking at Magneto, who had no life lying on the ground, Mystique felt her faith collapse. She even became confused in her heart, not knowing how to go on the road in the future. But she didn't need to think about this issue anymore. Yi-Bai wouldn't give her a chance. Yi-Bai came directly to Mystique, then pinched her neck with one hand and lifted her from the ground. In the face of his enemies, Yi-Bai never softened. Yi-Bai still understood the truth of the spring breeze. Mystique, who was pinched by her neck and plunged into suffocation, and pain, was struggling desperately. At this moment, the instinct for survival prevailed. Suddenly, the thin blue scales on Mystique's body fluctuated. Mystique also quickly changed into another appearance, a look that Yi-Bai was very familiar with, Hela. The scene suddenly turned into Yi-Bai pinching Hela by the neck. Seeing the charming eyes of Hela in front of him begging for mercy, Yi-Bai shook a little. No matter how cruel Yi-Bai was, he couldn't kill her. Mystique played this card, it could be said to be very effective. It's just a pity that Yi-Bai still didn't plan to let her go. Everyone was an adult, and they were responsible for what they had done. Now that she had chosen this path, she must be prepared to die at any time. Just when Yi-Bai was about to twist Mystique's neck, Mystique's expression suddenly changed, as if she had suddenly become another person. "Mr. Yi-Bai, please let Raven go. She is just being bewitched, and her heart is not bad." Mystique suddenly spoke in a very sophisticated tone. "Professor X?" Yi-Bai asked tentatively, guessing that the old hooligan might have controlled Mystique's mind. "It's me. I'm sorry that we have had a very unpleasant encounter before, and I solemnly apologize to you again. But Raven is my childhood friend. I can't watch her die and be indifferent. So I beg you humbly, please let her go this time. I promise she won't remember anything about you, and will never trouble you again." Professor X controlled Mystique's body and pleaded with Yi-Bai. Professor X already knew what happened here when Magneto was killed by Yi-Bai. After understanding the cause and effect of the matter, Professor X fiercely scolded Magneto in his heart. "If you want to die, go and die by yourself. Why do you take Raven with you?" Of course, Magneto was dead, and Professor X was very distressed. After all, he was a good friend of his own. But Yi-Bai started too quickly, and it was useless even if Professor X wanted to intercede. At the same time, Professor X also understood that Yi-Bai could not be blamed at all for this matter. He could only say that Yi-Bai had bad luck, and he was involved in trouble. After listening to Professor X's words, Yi-Bai sneered without agreeing. Why should he give Professor X face? Was it because Professor X had less hair? It's undeniable that bald heads were all gangsters. Didn't you see that even Thanos was bald? But Yi-Bai was now stronger and even bigger. So even with Professor X's plea, Yi-Bai's killing intent for Mystique had not diminished in the slightest. Only a dead enemy was a good enemy. "Mr. Yi-Bai, I beg you not to kill her. I can pay the price. How about the shares of Stark Industries? I have 1.2% shares in my hands, and I can give you all of them. I will also erase Raven's memory, and I promise that she will not have anything to do with you. She will definitely not cause you any more trouble." Professor X felt Yi-Bai's killing intent and quickly spoke. For Mystique's sake, Professor X even willingly gave up astronomical wealth, which showed that Professor X still attached great importance to feelings. At the same time, this guy was really rich. This was also normal. With the ability of mind control, how could Professor X have no money? Even the current Yi-Bai in front of Professor X could only be regarded as poor. Yi-Bai thought for a while about Professor X's proposal, and he was indeed a little moved. A 1.2% stake in Stark Industries. This was a sky-high price. You must know that the current market value of Stark Industries was more than $700 billion, and 1% of it was $7 billion. Who didn't like this kind of wealth? And Professor X promised to erase the memory of Mystique, and make sure she would not trouble Yi-Bai again. This also reduced Yi-Bai's killing intent. And what kind of storms could one Mystique create? If Professor X was smart enough, he should not come to provoke him again. Otherwise, there was only a dead end. Thinking of this, Yibai had a plan in his heart. You succeeded in persuading me. Then, this deal is concluded. With that said, Yibai released his palm and let Mystique fall to the ground. Then he went on to say, I will let my manager contact you. I hope you can do what you say and don't play any tricks. After speaking, Yibai stopped paying attention to the situation of Mystique. He turned around and left the warehouse. As for how Professor X erased Mystique's memory, it was not Yibai's business. This trip not only solved the potential threat of the Brotherhood of Mutants, but also gained a lot of wealth by the way. Yibai was very satisfied, and drove towards his manor with a smile. As for Mystique, she was lying on the ground with her eyes blank. The memory in her mind was quickly being deleted. Although Professor X was a good person, he was not soft when he should be cruel. Otherwise, how could a good old person protect so many mutants? Did you really thought military and politicians were easy to deal with? Yibai didn't struggle with this matter for too long, it was just an episode in his life. With this effort, it's better to think about how to deepen his relationship with Hela. Speaking of it, with Yibai's efforts recently, Hela seemed to be a bit bigger. Although it was not obvious, Yibai could feel it. After all, he had personally experienced it every day. This was a good start. Yibai decided to make persistent efforts and strive to bring out the cultivation of a great sea as soon as possible. Then there was no need to worry that the child would be hungry. Episode 32, Ancient Doomsday Body Template. Not long after Yibai left, Storm of the X-Men came to this warehouse. After pushing open the warehouse door, and seeing so many mutant corpses inside, even someone like Storm who had seen big scenes, was shocked. What followed was fear from the depths of the soul. The X-Men had the most say in how powerful Magneto's Brotherhood of Mutants would be. Head to head, the X-Men might not win. But such a powerful force was actually destroyed by Yibai alone. Looking at the broken walls and the smashed steel in the warehouse, Storm understood for the first time what a god of the war was. Aurora, bring Raven back. As for those mutants, I will deal with them. Professor X told Storm. Although Professor X did not arrive at the scene himself, he could still imagine the tragic scene. If it had been known that Magneto would end up like this, Professor X would stop them no matter what. Unfortunately, there was no if in this world, everyone had to pay for their choice. If Magneto didn't focus on Yibai's wealth, he wouldn't be killed. Storm didn't say anything. She silently picked up Mystique, who had passed out in a coma, and left the warehouse. After this battle, the name Yibai had completely become a taboo among mutants, and no one dared to touch him again. The threat of mutants was completely resolved with the actions of Yibai and Hela. Yibai believed that after the lessons of Professor X and Magneto, there should be no one who was afraid of death would provoke him. In addition, Nick Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D. had just been warned by Hela, and he did not dare to provoke Yibai again. Yibai and Hela also lived a stable life. In a short period of time, no one with a long eye would come to trouble them. Sign in successfully, reward the ancient Doomsday Body Template. One morning, Yibai opened his eyes after waking up. Before he could push Hela's jade-like arm away from him, he heard such a sentence. His sleepiness disappeared instantly, replaced by endless excitement. After signing in weird and useless rewards for many days, Yibai finally got a strong reward again. Ancient Doomsday, I am invincible. Forcibly resisting shouting because of the excitement, Yibai was ecstatic in his heart. Others might not know what the Ancient Doomsday was, but Yibai was very clear in his heart. Speaking of the Ancient Doomsday, many people would think of a movie, Superman vs. Batman. The Superman in the movie was killed by Doomsday and died. But what one needs to know was that the Doomsday in that movie was not the Ancient Doomsday. The Doomsday that killed Superman in the movie was cloned using the genes of the Ancient Doomsday, plus the genes of General Zod of Krypton. It was a fake copy and was totally incomparable to the original. The true Ancient Doomsday was born in the research room of Kryptonian scientists. This was a killing machine created by Kryptonian scientists, a true ultimate life form. Could not be killed, could not be destroyed. Even if it was thrown into a black hole and resisted the Big Bang, it would not die. Any attack method would only be effective on Doomsday the first time. After that, Doomsday would be completely immune from the second time. Moreover, any form of attack might lead to the evolution of the Ancient Doomsday and make it more powerful. Simply put, this was an unsolvable life that could not be killed, and the stronger the attack, the stronger it was. One could imagine how powerful this body template that Yibai got was. He could clearly feel that his body was beginning to grow stronger. This was because the Ancient Doomsday would evolve on its own, and it would evolve many times in a very short period of time. I was still worried about the 5 great creation gods and other cosmic gods, but now it seems completely worthwhile. Yi-Bai thought with satisfaction, and the confidence in his heart also became more sufficient. General Zod's body template was indeed very powerful. After all, General Zod's gene was the Kryptonian god of war. But General Zod was not Superman, had no life code, and could not evolve continuously. To put it bluntly, General Zod had limited potential, and Yi-Bai had gradually felt this limit. In the past few days, even if Yi-Bai was in the sun, his strength couldn't improve much. In the final analysis, the reason was that he had reached the growth ceiling of General Zod's body template. If he wanted to be even stronger, unless he got Superman's life code, it was not possible. But this was the Marvel Universe, and there was no Superman. Yi-Bai just couldn't get it, even if he wanted to grab it. Originally, Yi-Bai was thinking about whether he should look for opportunities to collect infinite gems, so as to increase his strength. After all, ordinary Kryptonians like General Zod could still walk sideways on the earth. But if the opponent was one of those cosmic gods, they would still be hanged. But now, this was completely unnecessary. The body template of the ancient doomsday gave Yi-Bai ample confidence. Even if it was Thanos with the infinite gloves in his hand, he couldn't be Yi-Bai's opponent now. In a dangerous world like Marvel, there was nothing more pleasant than improving your own strength. After all, with his strength, Yi-Bai could not only protect himself but also protect his wife, Hela. "What's wrong with you? You started giggling early in the morning?" At this time, Hela also regained consciousness, and when she opened her eyes, she saw Yi-Bai being silly and happy alone. Yi-Bai didn't explain. System and crossing were his biggest secrets. He wouldn't tell these secrets to anyone, even Hela. So in the face of Hela's complaints, Yi-Bai just smiled and didn't explain much. Hela didn't care either, just simply asked, "Go get something to eat, I'm hungry." Hela pushed Yi-Bai like a coquettish woman and said charmingly. Hela, who had just woken up, lost the usual coldness and was a little more confused, looked more charming and more attractive than usual. Yi-Bai was also ready to move, and he had a bold idea to implement. "We will eat later. It's still dark, we will sleep again," Yi-Bai said with a smile and did bad things neatly. After Hela resisted and struggled a few times, she glanced at Yi-Bai, then closed her eyes and let Yi-Bai mess up. Soon, the movement of life began to sound. After being satisfied, Yi-Bai quickly entered the state of a sage and began to prepare lunch. Why was it lunch? Did he still need to talk about it? Of course, they overslept. After being tossed by Yi-Bai, Hela completely fell asleep, and now she couldn't wake up. Yi-Bai didn't care, it was really difficult for her today. He was just too excited. The appearance of the ancient doomsday body template made Yi-Bai's inner confidence suddenly increase, not knowing how many times. He no longer worried about anything. Moreover, his body was much stronger than before, completely surpassing General Zod's body template limit. Yi-Bai didn't know exactly how strong it was now. Because there was no opponent, Yi-Bai didn't know if he could beat the 5 gods to death with one punch now. Episode 33, Hydra is loyal to the goddess of death Hela. S.H.I.E.L.D., the office of Alexander Pierce. Pierce had been searching for information about Hela during this period. The expression of Nick Fury at the time of meeting was particularly deep in Pierce's memory. It also let Pierce know that Nick Fury knew something. It's just that Nick Fury moved too fast, almost immediately setting the information of Yi-Bai and Hela to the highest level of confidentiality. Unfortunately, in the Snake Shield Bureau, nothing could be hidden from Alexander Pierce. After a lot of hands and feet, Pierce got the information of Yi-Bai and Hela as he wished. First of all, it was Yi-Bai's information, from the initial encounter with Daredevil until Yi-Bai killed Magneto and many mutants recently. Pierce was terrified to see that such a terrifying existence was actually a super rich man. In fact, it wasn't just Pierce. Nick Fury was also shocked when he learned about Magneto's death. It wasn't until then that Nick Fury realized that neither of the couple was easy to provoke. Hela, the god of Asgard, was incalculable. Yi-Bai, who killed Magneto, one of the most powerful mutants on the planet, was also a dangerous element. It really complied with the old saying, not a family, don't enter a family. Later, Pierce saw Hela's information. Compared with Yi-Bai's extensive information, Hela's information was much less. The main reason was that the time Hela spent on the Earth was too short. Hence, there was not much information to collect at all. But what shocked Pierce was the identity of Hela. The god of Asgard, the goddess of death. Good guys, these two, husband and wife, were better than others. Pierce had no longer had other ideas, let alone any other scheme. No matter how powerful the Hydra was, it was only an organization established by mortals. Could it be compared with gods? Forget it, don't provoke these two people. Pierce sighed and shook his head and turned off the data of Hela and Yibai. There was no need to look anymore, and he dared not do anything. Pierce was not a fool. He knew he couldn't provoke them, but he wanted them to join him. Wasn't that just looking for death? Not everyone was as stupid as mutants. But suddenly, an immature idea emerged in Pierce's mind. Maybe, just maybe, their Hydra could really come in contact with Hela. Of course, not to die, but to take refuge. No, how could I have this idea? Hydra serves the Hive, the great alien god. It will never abandon its beliefs. Pierce's thoughts just came up, and he immediately dispelled them. You must know that Hydra's purpose had always been to meet its own god. Hydra could be traced back to 1,400 years ago, when it was created by a stranger named Hive. Later, the Hive was exiled to a distant unknown planet, and Hydra lost its leader. In order to welcome back his god, Hydra ran a 1,000-year-old plan, the Distant Star Return Project. The core content of this plan was to bring the Hive back from the distant alien planet, so that he could lead the Hydra to rule the Earth. But until now, the Distant Star Return Project had not officially started. Mainly because Hydra hadn't even figured out which planet the Hive was exiled to. By now, Hydra basically had no expectations for the Distant Star Return Project. Maybe, I should ask other people for their opinions. Pierce thought of it suddenly. Hydra was a very large organization with many branches. Each branch had a leader, and Pierce was the leader of the Snake Shield branch. In addition, there were some other leaders. Pierce's discussion also referred to these leaders. Soon, Pierce secretly contacted the leaders of several other Hydra divisions and expressed his plans and thoughts. Originally, Pierce was ready to be scolded. After all, his plan was a betrayal of faith. What Pierce didn't expect was that the leaders of several other branches actually asked him to give it a try. This. Wasn't Hydra supposed to be loyal to the Hive? You all wanted to betray one by one? I took the lead, then it's okay. In fact, this was also normal. The Hive had disappeared for more than 1,400 years. After such a long time, there was no loyalty to speak of. And Hela's face card was big enough. The goddess of death, just suitable to become the new god of Hydra. Of course, the main reason was that Hydra urgently needed to find a backer. Don't look at the fact that Hydra was now very powerful. There were many secret branches, and even S.H.I.E.L.D. had been infiltrated. But in fact, Hydra was far worse than its heyday, and now it was just lingering. It's like walking a tightrope. Once S.H.I.E.L.D. reacted and discovered Hydra, it would immediately be able to make Hydra's years of hard work in vain. An organization could not be as powerful as a country. During the heyday of the Hydra, there was a strong empire to support it, and that was the fundamental reason why the Hydra was so prosperous. As for now, you could ask, was there any country that supported Hydra? After getting the replies from the different branch leaders, Pierce began to think carefully about the possibility of surrender. If the surrender was really successful, and Hydra was backed by Hela, Hydra would stabilize in the future and embrace Asgard's thigh. If you failed, the consequences would be serious, and you could basically consider hiding forever. The risks and benefits were great, so Pierce was very cautious. After thinking about it for a long time and analyzing it over and over again, Pierce was determined to try it. Hold the courageous to death, starve the cowardly to death. Thinking of this, Pierce gave instructions to one of his agents to contact Hela first. As for the success or failure, it depended on God's will. Hydra, always loyal to the goddess Hela. Pierce said softly with a smile and prayed that this contact would be successful. Yibai received a strange invitation today from somewhere in New York City. Yibai didn't intend to pay attention to the invitation at first, but after seeing the signature, he changed his mind. At the end of the invitation letter, the signature was, Master Gu-Yi. As the protector of the earth, Gu-Yi, also known as the Supreme Mage, Yibai felt that he still had to respect her. Moreover, Gu-Yi also kept the time gem, and Yibai felt that he should go there even more. After saying hello to Hela and agreeing to come back soon, Yibai set off. He soon arrived at his destination, the temple, located in New York City. There were 3 temples in Comitage, which were located in London, New York City, and Hong Kong. Every temple had a special barrier that prevented ordinary people from finding it. Of course, Yibai was able to see it, so Yibai walked into the Temple of New York City. Episode 34, Smashing the Earth. When Yibai entered the temple, a quaint aura hit his face. It could be seen that this temple was definitely hundreds of years old. As Yibai entered the temple, a mage came up. Guest. The Supreme Mage is already waiting for you. This mage was not someone who appeared in the movie, so Yibai didn't care. After nodding, he followed the mage into the depths of the temple. Soon, a golden circle appeared in front of Yibai. This should be a portal. Please. The mage respectfully said to Yibai. Yibai hesitated for a moment, but decided to go in and take a look, anyway. For one thing, his strength was strong enough, and he didn't worry about being at a disadvantage against the Ancient One. Secondly, Yibai also wanted to know what purpose Gui had in inviting him over. After entering the portal, Yibai found himself on the top of a snow mountain. In front of him, a woman in the robe of a wizard with a hood had her back to him. After sensing that someone was coming, this person turned around and looked at Yibai. It was the Sorcerer Supreme Gui. Hello, Mr. Yibai. Gui nodded politely to Yibai and greeted him. Yibai did the same. With a greeting, he began to inquire about Gui's purpose. Supreme Mage. I don't know why you invited me over. Is there anything wrong? Yibai asked straightforwardly, somewhat curious about Gui's purpose. Don't worry. I just want to get to know you and make friends. I have no ill will towards you. Gui smiled and said to Yibai, her expression calm and her eyes clear. It seems that there was really no malice towards Yibai. But Yibai didn't fully believe her either, and his defensive heart was indispensable. After coming to the Marvel world, Yibai realized that this world was not as beautiful as he had imagined. Superheroes were not as great as they seemed in the movies. For example, the former Professor X was an old hooligan. To make friends, there is no need for such preparation. A mirror space, do you want to trap me here? Yibai said coldly. He didn't easily believe her because of her status as a supreme mage. Moreover, this was a mirrored space. Except for Yibai and Gui in the whole world, Yibai couldn't feel any other life. This was not the attitude of making friends, it's more like trying to attack him. Gui shook his head, still in that calm posture. It's really about making friends. I'm very interested in you. To be honest, your previous performance scared me. Gui's words revealed a message that she had already been paying attention to Yibai. She also knew that Yibai's strength was very strong. The kind of strong which was excessive. What Gui didn't know was that Yibai was definitely stronger than what she had guessed. Speak straight if you have something to say. There is no need to circumscribe it. If you really want to make friends, you won't bring me to the mirror space. The more Gui said, the more Yibai confirmed his guess. But Yibai was not afraid. He didn't know how strong his current strength was, but it was definitely not something Gui could resist. Well, I was asked by an old friend. But I really don't plan to attack you, it will only make us completely antagonistic. What about a bet? If you can break free from this mirrored space, I will teach you all the magic I know. If you can't break free, don't worry, I will let you go in a month. Gui stated her purpose, a gamble. As for the old friend in her mouth, she didn't say anything, and didn't plan to tell Yibai. As for Yibai, after listening to Gui's gambling game, there was no fluctuation in his heart. He even wanted to laugh a little. With this mirrored space, she hoped to trap him. Was it because Gui was too bloated, or did she feel that he was too weak? And he had already entered the mirror space now. Did she bet because she had the final say? Even if Yibai didn't want to gamble, he wouldn't be able to get out. He had no choice at all. However, it seemed that Gui really did not have any malicious intent towards him. At most, she wanted to detain him for a month. Then why this? Would anything big happen this month? Yibai had to think more about it. At the level of the Supreme Mage, no one was simple. Anything she did had deep meaning, and you had to be careful not to be fooled. As for the spells of the Ancient One, Yibai didn't care, but it was not bad to get them. After all, the portal was really convenient. And the money to buy a plane could be saved. Then the gambling begins, I look forward to your performance. Gui smiled. Then her body burst and turned into countless butterflies, disappearing in this mirrored space. As for Yibai, he shook his head helplessly. Knowing that it would be so troublesome, he would never agree to Gui's invitation. Now that the matter had happened, Yibai no longer hesitated. Wasn't it just a mirrored space? What's the point? Yibai didn't make much movement, just made a fist, and then raised it. Finally, he aimed it at the ground under his feet and hit it hard. With a boom, there was a loud roar. Large cracks appeared directly on the huge snow mountain at Yibai's feet. The body of the mountain began to fall off. It was destroyed by Yibai with a punch. However, this was just the beginning. Today, Yibai's punch could have much greater destructive power. He himself had no idea how strong he was. But one thing was certain, that was, the earth could be easily shattered. Not only did Yi-Bai's fist smash the snow-capped mountain, the huge force also spread to the surface along the mountain. Then, countless terrible cracks spread out like a spider web centered on the snow mountain. These cracks on the ground were still expanding and getting deeper and deeper. Gradually, even the crustal plates began to crack, and the basic structure of the entire Earth began to collapse. Endless magma rushed to the Earth along the cracks, and the originally peaceful world suddenly became hell. Countless magma ignited the whole world. Loud noises kept coming, followed by terrible earthquakes. The crustal plates began to collapse, and the entire continent began to disintegrate. In the end, the entire planet exploded and turned into gorgeous fireworks. So far, this mirrored space was also broken, and Yi-Bai won. After breaking the mirror space, Yi-Bai broke free from that space and appeared in front of Gui. This was the real world. Yi-Bai was on a snowy mountain at this time, in Kamatage. Your performance is much stronger than I expected, Gui said truthfully. She saw how Yi-Bai shattered the mirror world. That world was actually another Earth, which was built by the Ancient One based on a 1-to-1 ratio of real Earth. Yi-Bai could smash the mirror world with one punch, which meant that Yi-Bai could also smash the entire Earth with one punch. Even Gui was frightened by such destructive power. Episode 35, The Grumpy Old Father Odin. Are you going to gamble again? Yi-Bai didn't attack, but looked at Gui coldly and said. He didn't want to be enemies with Gui, but it didn't mean he was afraid of Gui. Gui didn't really attack him. Otherwise, he would not hit the mirror space with one punch. No need. You are stronger than I thought. Gui looked at Yi-Bai, shook her head, and said. As I bet. I will teach you all my magic, as long as you are willing to learn. I won't ask you to do anything. I just hope you won't be so angry in the future. There is only one Earth. Gui looked at Yi-Bai and said with a smile. She was always so calm, even when facing Yi-Bai. Not to mention other things, Yi-Bai was convinced just because of her calmness. Let's talk about magic later. I am going back now. I will come to learn from you again when I have a chance. Yi-Bai didn't want to stay longer and didn't plan to befriend the Ancient One either. There was no need to do so much, as long as Gui didn't bother him. Gui didn't stop him this time, but instead took the initiative to send Yi-Bai back to the temple in New York City. A smile appeared on the corner of Gui's mouth when Yi-Bai completely left. From the very beginning, Gui didn't expect the mirror space to trap Yi-Bai. It might be possible if she used the infinite loop of time gem. But there was no need. If she really did this, Yi-Bai would definitely blow her head. He might even smash the earth in anger. Moreover, Gui's gambling game itself was meant to lose. Some people, after pursuing magic to death, couldn't find any trace of magic. And some people, even if they were not interested in magic, someone would let them learn it. Yi-Bai was the latter. Gui's purpose for Yi-Bai to learn magic was simple. In fact, she hoped to win Yi-Bai over. She didn't want Yi-Bai to become the protector of the earth like her. As long as Yi-Bai helped when the earth encountered danger in the future, it was enough. Of course, in addition to this careful thinking, there was another important reason. She was entrusted by others. The purpose of that old friend was not to trap Yi-Bai, but to kill him. It's just that Gui didn't plan to do this, and knew she couldn't do it. Odin, I won't get involved in your family problems. It's up to you to solve them yourself. Gui thought, while gloating in her heart. That's right, the old friend mentioned by Gui referred to Odin. As the guardian of the earth, how could Gui not know Odin? After all, the earth was one of the 9 worlds, Midgard. As for why Odin wanted to attack Yi-Bai, it was naturally because of Hela. Asgard, Golden Palace. Odin was very angry now and wanted to kill people. The source of anger was Hela, his unfilial daughter. After Hela escaped the seal before, Odin had never been so angry. At best, he was a little worried. But after learning that Hela had become a wife of a mortal, Odin's temper was completely blown up. His daughter, the eldest daughter of the Odin's family, the eldest princess of Asgard, the heir of the noble blood of Odin, actually found a mortal as her husband. This was simply an insult to Asgard's glory. Not to mention how angry Odin was as an old father when he heard that his cabbage had been eaten by a pig. Damn mortal, I will hang you on the Rainbow Bridge and torture you every day for 1,000 years. Odin gritted his teeth and cursed, almost smoking Yi-Bai on the spot in his heart. Although the relationship between Odin and Hela was not good, Hela still was Odin's blood in the end. Hela was his daughter, and this could never be changed. But his daughter found a mortal, which Odin could not accept. This was even more uncomfortable for Odin than Hela's rebellion. Heimdall, tell Thor. Let him go and kill that mortal. Odin said to Heimdall, he wanted to watch Yi-Bai die right now. The mortal that dared to ruin the daughter of Odin. You should be afraid, because you don't know how ruthless I, Odin, am. Heimdall looked a little ugly after hearing Odin's words. Your Majesty Odin. I think it is more likely that Thor will be killed directly by Hela. Heimdall whispered, hoping that Odin could change his mind. How could Thor be able to kill Yi-Bai? This was clearly sending Thor to his death. Today's Thor was too immature, it was impossible for him to be Hela's opponent. By going to her door, he would only die for nothing. After hearing Heimdall's reminder, Odin also reacted, and secretly cursed himself as an idiot. But immediately he became even more angry. My daughter not only ran away with outsiders, but she also helped outsiders to bully her family. Could this be better? No, I will personally go to Midgard to seal that unfilial girl. And then, I will smash that mortal's body into pieces. Odin was so angry that his beard was about to curl up. Because of the excitement, even the blue veins on the neck were violent. If this is the case, then the entire Midgard may be destroyed. And have you forgotten? You have reached an agreement with the Celestial Group to not interfere with other civilizations. Heimdall persuaded him, hoping Odin could calm down. As for the Celestial Group, it was a mysterious organization that had existed for countless years. Every member of the Celestial Group was terrifyingly strong. In his very early days, Odin once had a fight with members of the Celestial Group. After killing several members of the Celestial Group, he reached an agreement with the Celestial Group that he would not forcibly interfere with the development of other civilizations. Otherwise, without these celestial gods, Asgard's territory would probably occupy half of the universe. The Kree Empire, which was now rampant in the universe, was just an indigenous civilization that only dared to hide in a corner and shiver in the glorious era of Asgard. After hearing about the Celestial Group, Odin also calmed down and sighed helplessly in his heart. It seemed that there was really no way to stop Hela. But when he thought of his daughter having a love affair with a mortal, and even having a family and having children, Odin felt as if he had taken gunpowder and was furious. Although the girl Hela was a bit too filial, she was still his own girl after all. His daughter could be a bully herself anyway, but why was it a mortal? No, I must have that mortal dead. Odin thought bitterly. He couldn't let go of the thought that his daughter was being put to sleep by a mortal. At this time, the Queen Frigga walked out. When Hela rebelled, I never saw you becoming so angry. Frigga said in a bad tone. When it came to this topic, Frigga had a very faint resentment towards Odin. Now Hela had been taken away by a mortal. After all, wasn't it your pot? If you didn't raise Hela crookedly, would Hela rebel? If Hela did not rebel, would she be sealed in the Midgard? Would Hela escape the seal if she was not sealed in the Midgard? If Hela didn't escape the seal, would she be put to sleep by a mortal? She said that, but Frigga was not very angry in her heart. Nor was she that angry with Odin. As for the matter of Hela and Yi-Bai, Frigga did not object. As long as Hela felt it was worth it, then she, as the Queen Mother, would have 10,000 support for her. This was the difference between father-in-law and mother-in-law. Episode 36, Subduing the Hydra. Yi-Bai actually made a mistake at the very beginning. He wanted to live a stable life, a small life for two people, and didn't want too much trouble. But many times, trouble would come to the door. In the final analysis, the reason was that Yi-Bai had enough value and would take the initiative to attract trouble. Not to mention Yi-Bai's own abilities, just the wealth he had accumulated over the years by copying books was enough to cause a lot of trouble to focus on him. This was the result of Yi-Bai being as low-key as possible. Otherwise, he would have a lot more troubles. When dealing with these troubles, Yi-Bai would often cause more troubles, just like a butterfly effect. From the smallest butterfly fluttering its wings, to a huge storm in the end. From the very beginning, Kingpin wanted the gangsters to stare at him, and now he was stared at by the Supreme Mage Gui. This was just the beginning. Yi-Bai didn't even know that he had been targeted by Asgard. In addition to Yi-Bai himself, Hela was also easily attracted to trouble. She was the goddess of death, after all. Even if she did nothing, she would attract the attention of many people with her identity alone. When Yi-Bai was called to drink tea by the Supreme Master, an uninvited guest also broke into his seaside manor. This was a female agent from Hydra. The female agent was discovered by Hela as soon as she entered the manor. Hela originally planned to kill the intruder directly, but found that the intruder was not hostile. Out of curiosity, Hela planned to interrogate the intruder about what she wanted. If the female agent's answer failed to satisfy Hela, Hela didn't mind accepting the soul of the female agent. Who are you? What are you doing here? When the female agent broke into the living room of the manor, Hela suddenly appeared on the stairs and questioned the female agent condescendingly. The female agent was still very vigilant, but after seeing that Hela, who was her mission goal, her vigilance was put away and replaced by humility. "My name is Christy, and I am from Hydra. I received an order from the chief to come here to offer you our loyalty." The Hydra agent named Christy said respectfully to Hela, her eyes pious and fanatical. At first glance, one would know that she had been brainwashed before she came. Hydra may not be very good, but its brainwashing skills were still very solid. After listening to Christy's words, Hela frowned slightly. Dedication of loyalty? Hydra? Hela had lived with Yibai for more than a year, and naturally she had heard the name of Hydra before. She knew there was such an organization, but she never cared about it. Such mortal organizations were naturally looked down upon by Hela. So she didn't expect that this mortal organization would come to her specially. Before being sealed by Odin, Hela had many followers, and some of those followers came to take refuge in her. Therefore, Hela had rich experience in accepting other people's refuge. Hydra? I don't accept valueless loyalty. Speak out, what is your value? Hela did not refuse Hydra's refuge, but she did not accept it lightly. Not all cats and dogs were qualified to follow the great goddess of death. The followers of Hela were now either sealed or dead, and she was seriously understaffed. Otherwise, Hela would never look at Hydra at all. How much value could a group of mortals have? After hearing Hela's words, Christy didn't hesitate, and hurriedly opened her mouth to introduce her organization to Hela. Briefly talk about Hydra's current strength and various advantages. Just like selling products, she was very eager to sell her organization to Hela. No, it should be given to Hela in exchange for a large enough backing. Many leaders of Hydra eagerly hoped to reproduce the glory of the former Hydra, and Hela was undoubtedly the best opportunity. Otherwise, the Hydra, which had no strong backing, could not even be compared with S.H.I.E.L.D., which had global support. After listening to Christy's introduction to Hydra, Hela shook her head in disappointment. The value of Hydra was much less than she thought. In fact, Hydra was not that bad now. It had infiltrated many countries and had a power that could not be underestimated on the earth. But how big was Hela's vision? This was a ruthless woman who had fought in the universe. The power of the Hydra organization was really small and pitiful in Hela's eyes. However, it could not be said that there was no value in it. At least on the earth, Hydra still had a lot of influence. It just so happened that Hela and Yibai were now living on the earth. After mastering Hydra, it would definitely help Yibai avoid a lot of trouble. Hela knew that what Yibai hated most was trouble. Thinking of this, Hela already had a plan in her heart. Even if she didn't think about it for herself, she still had to think about it for the sake of Yibai. So Hela nodded and said, if this is the case, then I accept the loyalty of Hydra. Go back and tell your head to let them come and talk to me in person. After speaking, Hela returned upstairs and didn't stay there anymore. Accepting the loyalty of Hydra was nothing more than a trivial matter in Hela's eyes. If it weren't for Yibai, she would never take in such a mortal organization as Hydra. Moreover, the Hydra could also be regarded as a dark chess piece left on the earth, and it might be used at an appropriate time. After receiving Hela's reply, Christy breathed a sigh of relief, and then hurriedly left the manor. She was preparing to report the good news to his leader. Yibai might not have thought of it. He went out for a while and his wife conquered the famous Hydra in the Marvel Universe. And this was just the beginning. Hela's trip to eliminate trouble was destined to not stop easily. After living with Yibai for more than a year, Hela's injuries had basically recovered. After that, she started to think about the future. She thought about how to get back the position of God King that should have belonged to her. As for Asgard, Hela would definitely go back. There was no doubt about it. Only before returning to Asgard, Hela had to deal with her relationship with Yibai first. Informing Yibai of her true identity and letting Yibai accept her past was what Hela was most concerned about at the moment. Hela herself was very troubled. She still didn't know how to talk about her identity to Yibai. The wife who got along with her husband day and night was actually a big devil, the kind that destroyed countless races. Hela was really worried that Yibai would not be able to accept it. If this was the case in the end, Hela didn't know what she would do. Oh, if only we had a child. For the first time, Hela had such thoughts in her heart. She wanted to have a child with Yibai now so that the two of them would have a stronger bond. Unfortunately, because of the laws of the universe, the stronger the life, the harder it was to give birth. It's not that Yibai and Hela didn't work hard, but it was really not easy. Hela even today was worried about how to make Yibai accept her identity. Episode 37, Frigga's Report. While Hela was troubled about how to confess her identity to Yibai, Yibai also had similar troubles. And in Yibai's heart, he had already begun to doubt Hela's identity. At first, Yibai hadn't noticed it, and he continued to get along with her. However, Yibai gradually realized that there seemed to be something wrong with his wife. Apart from other things, Hela's performance was not like that of an ordinary person when playing the life movement in peacetime. Could ordinary people withstand Yibai's pretentiousness till now? Yibai had even begun to suspect that his wife Hela might really be the eldest princess of Asgard. After all, both of their names were the same. In the Marvel world, the only strong individual named Hela seemed to be the eldest princess of Asgard. However, Yibai was only suspicious in his heart, and he still couldn't determine it directly. Because according to the plot, the eldest princess of Asgard Hela should still be sealed by Odin. Hela would not appear until the plot of Thor 3. So Yibai couldn't say for sure about who exactly was his wife Hela. Forget it. I'll talk about it later when I have a chance. And I believe that if Hela wants to say something, she will take the initiative to tell me in the future. Yibai thought in his heart, deciding that he should not be so troubled. Regardless of what status Hela had, she just needed to be his wife. Even when the sky fell, Hela would still be his wife, and he wanted to be with her forever. Today was another peaceful day, Yibai thought so after getting up. Successfully sign in, reward a cup of combustible oolong tea. When Yibai, who had just woken up, heard the reward, the corners of his mouth twitched. This damn sign-in system, the daily sign-in reward gap, was too big. You could get the ancient Doomsday's body template when you were lucky, and a cup of combustible oolong tea when you were not lucky. There was even such a worthless thing as Sister Cheong's rabbit doll. However, as he had been with the system for so long, Yibai had almost understood the urinary nature of the sign-in system, and his inner receptivity was also much stronger. It's just that when I get such a wonderful reward, I still feel a little uncomfortable. In the recent period, Yibai's life had finally settled down. There were no more troublesome people without eyesight coming to him. Even S.H.I.E.L.D. had completely disappeared from his life. Naturally, Yibai didn't know. S.H.I.E.L.D. had been warned by someone and directly chose to admit defeat. In addition to S.H.I.E.L.D., the underground gangs, mutant forces, and even Hydra in New York City were beaten twice by their husband and wife. Now one was more honest than the other, and they dare not come to trouble them at all. However, Yibai also discovered one thing. That was, Hela seemed to have something on her mind these days. He watched her several times, trying to say something, but stopped and didn't say anything in the end. This made Yibai frown, and secretly thought that what he had done recently was exposed and scared Hela. Naturally, Yibai didn't know that Hela was going to have a showdown with him. It's just that each and every time Hela's words were swallowed back in her stomach after seeing Yibai. Wait a little longer. Hela warned herself every time and then procrastinated. The more you loved, the more you were afraid of losing. Hela was like this now. Just because she cared too much, Hela had concerns. So she dared not tell the truth to Yibai. What if Yibai had a grudge after knowing her identity? It's not that she didn't believe Yibai, but Hela really didn't dare to gamble. Although she knew that Yibai was unlikely to abandon herself because of her past, Hela still did not dare to bet. This state of worrying about gains and losses was something Hela had never felt before. Love was not only sweet but also accompanied by all kinds of troubles. Hela understood this a little bit now. No wonder Frigga warned her very early not to trust her sincerity to one person easily. Tony organized a barbecue and invited us over. Are you going? At the dinner table, Yibai asked Hela, testing her attitude. As for Tony, Yibai had a good relationship with Tony during this time, and the two were now good friends. Occasionally, when there were some parties, Tony would invite Yibai to go with him. I don't want to go. I plan to take a good rest today. Hela shook her head and refused, coldly. Yibai was helpless. Hela's temper was too cold. That's why he wanted to make Hela more lively. But Hela seemed to have no such interest now. But forget it, Yibai didn't really intend to force Hela. The time ahead is still long, so take your time. Yibai didn't worry about this matter anymore, and after agreeing that he would come back earlier, he left the manor. As for Hela, after eating breakfast, she went to the second floor. There she saw Frigga, who was waiting for her in the room. Yes, Asgard had found the location of Hela. But for some unknown reason, Asgard had not launched an attack against Hela yet. How did you come here? Looking at Frigga, Hela asked nonchalantly. The tone was a bit blunt, but there was not much hostility. This was Frigga, after all. If it was Odin, Hela wouldn't say a word at all. She would draw her sword and cut him down. I wanted to come and see you earlier. I heard that you have a family here. Frigga smiled gently, not paying attention to Hela's indifference. She knew Hela. She knew that Hela was often insincere. Yeah. Is there any problem? Hela was still indifferent, as if she was not in front of her relative who had raised her, but a stranger. No, I'm here to bless you. You have a good vision. Frigga said to Hela with a smile, which also reduced Hela's coldness. This change naturally fell in Frigga's eyes, and Frigga sighed secretly. It seemed that this mortal had a heavy weight in Hela's heart. But your father, Odin, is very angry about this. You have to be careful. Frigga continued again, as a reminder to Hela. Hela's face became cold again when she heard these words. Her eyes became full of murderous intent. He is not my father. He is just a hypocritical bastard. Hela retorted, showing how terrible her relationship with Odin was. This was normal. The relationship between Hela and Odin was not good. Hela would come to this point today, most of which was thanks to Odin. As for who Hela hated most, it was Odin. However, Frigga's words still made Hela's heart shudder, knowing that Asgard had begun to look at ye by now. This gave Hela a headache. She knew how arrogant Asgard's people were, and killing a mortal was nothing to Asgard. Although Hela herself was also an arrogant fellow, who made her really like Yi. Be careful yourself. Asgard will not be indifferent to you. Frigga told Hela again and then disappeared. This was just a projection of Frigga, not her physical body. Otherwise, she couldn't hide this visit from Odin. Episode 38, Tony's Party. Asgard would not be indifferent to Hela's affairs, that's for sure. In Asgard's view, Hela combined with a mortal to form a family, which was an insult to Asgard's glory. Odin was an old-fashioned and stubborn fellow, who would like to eat Yi raw. However, for some reasons, it was not convenient for Odin to descend on the earth himself. He could only achieve his goal through some small means. So Yi suffered misfortune, and all kinds of extremely coincidental accidents happened to Yi. First on the road, Yi suffered a car accident. Then the billboard fell. The natural gas pipeline exploded and even a thunderbolt came down. This series of terrible accidents made Yi wonder if he was being targeted by some unknown existence. Just like the story of Final Destination, there was an invisible reaper who was trying to take his life away. Of course Yi didn't know that this was Odin's method. He wanted to kill him, the mortal who had tarnished the blood of the Odin's family. After all the hardships, Yi finally came to Tony's villa. Tony's villa was not far from Yi's manor, but Yi had spent a lot of time abruptly. When Yi arrived, Tony's barbecue party had already begun. Seeing Tony surrounded by a group of supermodels, Yi shook his head. This playboy was really smart. If Yi didn't know Hela, he should be about the same as Tony. Yi thought in his heart. In addition to Tony, Yi also saw some other acquaintances, all of whom had appeared in movies. Such as War Machine, which was Tony's military friend. Another example was Tony's bodyguard, Happy. Yi even saw Black Widow and Hawkeye. The two members of the original Avengers were actually here. This made Yi a little puzzled. Could it be that Tony had already joined S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Avengers project? Calculating time, it seemed to be the same. The Avengers project was created in Iron Man 1, and Nick Fury already had this idea. Even Yi was initially in Nick Fury's plan. But as Yi and Hela continued to show their strengths, Nick Fury had also cancelled this plan. He couldn't afford to offend these two big brothers, really couldn't offend. But Nick Fury still didn't give up. Today's party could be regarded as a temptation by Nick Fury. Even if it was not easy to invite Yi to join, it was not bad to have a good relationship with Yi first. After guessing a little about Nick Fury's thoughts, Yi laughed blankly. He felt that S.H.I.E.L.D. was like a licking dog in front of him, extremely humble. But that's okay. Letting S.H.I.E.L.D. be its own licking dog was better than being the licking dog of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yi's arrival quickly became the center of this party. Tony entertained Yi enthusiastically and even began to introduce Yi to supermodels. The supermodels also watched Yi with bright shining eyes, like a group of wolves who just saw a piece of fat. Yi's attraction was still great, handsome in appearance, and exploding in figure. He was young and had more money. His wealth was in billions. He was also the most famous best-selling author, with considerable influence in the world. Such a man was simply the perfect partner. They didn't have the luxury of becoming Yi's wife. Even a scandal with Yi would be very rewarding for them. Yi knew all about the thoughts of these supermodels, that they were greedy for his own body. Unfortunately, Yi already had Hela and was determined to be a good man. So he refused all of them. Hey buddy, you shouldn't be so unfeeling. Look how sad those girls are. Tony came to Yi-Bai's side and said to Yi-Bai in the voice of someone who had experience. Yi-Bai smiled, did not give too much explanation. The two of them were not the same kind of people at all. Tony was a standard dandy, lingering in the flowers every day. Looking at Tony's posture, I'm afraid he couldn't wait to have 48 hours a day, so that he could enjoy life to the fullest. It was not until later, after a series of things, that Tony changed his mentality and began to become a qualified superhero. At the same time, he put away his heart and began to shoulder the responsibility of being a husband seriously. Only now, Tony was still a child who had not grown up. Yi-Bai didn't explain anything to Tony either. They had different personalities and different philosophies. Yi-Bai feels that this was good now. He didn't have to worry about the pressure of life. He didn't need to worry about anything, as long as he lived with Hela every day. After a few more conversations with Yi-Bai, Tony left soon. He turned around and plunged into the flowers. Yi-Bai couldn't speak of envy about this, but felt that Tony was a little naive. After Tony left, Natasha came over. "We meet again, Mr. Genius Writer." Natasha smiled and said to Yi-Bai. This female agent, who had intended to seduce Yi-Bai, now faced Yi-Bai without her previous charms. She was here purely with a mentality of making friends. "Hello, Agent Natasha. I hope you didn't come for a mission this time." Yi-Bai also laughed and joked. As long as it wasn't with a purpose, Yi-Bai didn't refuse to say a few words with Natasha. In fact, Yi-Bai's character was really easygoing, and he was only cold when dealing with the enemy. After a few conversations, Natasha left, not staying with Yi-Bai any longer. Natasha also knew that Yi-Bai had no idea about her. Hence, she didn't plan to waste time with Yi-Bai. She came out to play today, she didn't come to work. So naturally, she wouldn't stress herself. After Natasha left, Hawkeye also came over. "I'm pleased to get to know you. You can call me Barton." Hawkeye spoke to Yi-Bai very familiarly, and at the same time stretched out his right hand. "Yi-Bai, nice to meet you." Yi-Bai also said hello to Hawkeye, and they got to know each other. Hawkeye was one of the veterans of the Avengers and a senior agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. The most important thing was that Hawkeye and Yi-Bai were really alike. Hawkeye also had a family, a lover, and even children. Like Yi-Bai, Hawkeye was also a very loyal person to his family. After chatting with Hawkeye for a few minutes, Yi-Bai and Hawkeye started talking happily, and the friendship between each other increased rapidly. Hawkeye even invited Yi-Bai to be a guest at his house to increase the relationship between each other. After Yi-Bai dealt with it, Hawkeye quickly left. As for Yi-Bai, after staying for a while, he had the idea of going back. The harvest this time was to get to know several veteran members of the Avengers, and witness the embryonic form of the Avengers, by the way. But just when Yi-Bai was about to leave, a guy who came suddenly interrupted Yi-Bai's thoughts of going back. The Crown Prince of Asgard, Thor, the god of thunder, was here. Episode 39, Knowing the Truth. Thor's time on Earth could only be described as a happy breeze. Soon after returning to Earth, Thor received the highest level of reception from the human government. At the same time, he also met many new friends, such as Nick Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D., Tony Stark, and so on. The relationship with his mortal girlfriend, Jane Foster, had gone further. Both of them were almost like glue. Today, Thor was invited by Tony to come to a party. To say what Thor liked the most on Earth, apart from beer, it was estimated that it would be parties. When in Asgard, Thor was keen on all kinds of lively occasions. The parties made Thor addicted. It was as if he had become the second party prince. After Odin and Asgard learned about this, he almost didn't go down personally and killed Thor, this rebellious son. It's sad to say that every one of Odin's 3 children was better than the other. Hela rebelled and formed a family with mortals. Thor was a knave man, and he also found a mortal girlfriend. Loki had a black belly, and he was either doing things every day, or he was on the way to do things. This showed how much Asgard's education failed. The arrival of Thor made Tony very happy. Tony and Thor had a very good relationship. It was not only because of their similar names, but more importantly, they had a common topic. Both of them were second-generation people, and both of them were people who liked to play. By the way, Thor did not bring his girlfriend here today. He came alone. As soon as he arrived at the party, Thor began to provoke the hot-bodied supermodels. It seemed as if there were signs of a playboy transition. It's not that Thor was a scumbag, but that he really liked to play. "Hey Thor. Let me introduce a friend to you. This is Yi-Bai, a talented writer." Tony still cared about Yi-Bai. The first time Thor arrived, he introduced him to Yi-Bai. "Hello buddy, I'm Thor, from Asgard. Would you like to have a drink together?" Thor also gave him face. He put his arms around Yi-Bai's shoulders and spoke like a good buddy. This level of self-familiarity made Yi-Bai somewhat uncomfortable. However, Yi-Bai did not refuse Thor's kindness either. "I am Yi-Bai. Nice to meet you. Where is Asgard, by the way?" Yi-Bai said with a smile. For Asgard, Yi-Bai was still very curious. "I really want to see with my own eyes whether the legendary Asgard is more spectacular than in the movie." At this moment, Yi-Bai didn't know that Thor, who laughed like a silly idiot, was actually his brother-in-law. Yi-Bai finally left the party. Besides making several friends, more importantly, he got an important message from Thor. According to Thor, his main purpose in coming to Earth this time was to find his sister. She was the legendary goddess of death, Hela, the princess of Asgard. At the same time, Yi-Bai also learned that Hela had broken the seal. It was even clearer that Hela broke free of the seal 1 year ago. Hela, who broke the seal a year ago, came from Asgard. All these clues made Yi-Bai understand one thing. His wife seemed to be the eldest princess of Asgard, the goddess of death, Hela. In the past, Yi-Bai had doubts in this regard. Because there was only one strong woman named Hela in Marvel. The news that Thor revealed now confirmed Yi-Bai's guess. My wife is the goddess of death? Yi-Bai thought in his heart, always feeling a little unreal. I picked up a wife at the door casually, who turned out to be the great demon queen Hela. Yi-Bai didn't know whether to say he was lucky or unfortunate. After knowing Hela's real identity, a question also appeared in Yi-Bai's heart. That's how to face Hela? As before, pretend not to know Hela's identity, or have a showdown with Hela. Tell Hela that no matter what her identity is, he is willing to accept it. Yi-Bai's heart was biased towards the second kind, but in the end, Yi-Bai vetoed it. Since Hela didn't tell him her true identity, it must be because of some ulterior motives. Yi-Bai didn't need to worry. He might as well wait for Hela to confess by herself. He believed Hela would have a confession with Yi-Bai sooner or later, as she couldn't always hide her identity. In addition to these, what Yi-Bai also needed to consider was the follow-up impact. Hela's identity was special, and there would be a lot of troubles in the future. The first was from Asgard. Would Asgard let Hela go? This was obviously impossible, and the contradiction between Hela and Asgard could not be resolved. At that time, Yi-Bai might have to fight against Asgard. With Yi-Bai's current strength, there was no need to worry about this. Asgard didn't mean anything in Yi-Bai's eyes. So Yi-Bai quickly adjusted his mentality. What should he do? Anyway, Hela was his wife, and they had done everything that should be done. Could she run? Even if Hela was going to become the great demon queen and destroy the entire universe, Yi-Bai would not hesitate. He would be the man behind the great demon queen. Thinking about it this way, Yi-Bai suddenly found that it was quite romantic. NASA, American Space Agency. As an aerospace and space research institute founded by the federal government. In addition to studying some space equipment, this organization would also observe space and eventually large meteorites passing by the Earth. Today, in NASA's space agency, the staff seemed to have been cast on by petrification magic. All of them were staring blankly at the huge screen in front of them. In everyone's eyes, there was a deep despair and loss. Lawson was one of the directors of the space agency, and he was also on the scene. Looking at the data on the screen, Lawson put his head in his hands, his eyes full of disbelief and despair. Because, on the big screen in front of him, a huge black shadow was constantly approaching the Earth. As an old man at NASA, Lawson naturally knew what this black shadow meant. This was a black hole, the ultimate celestial body in the universe. In other words, a huge black hole was approaching the Earth. There was no doubt that this was a huge disaster. A greater disaster than the meteorite that hit the Earth 65 million years ago. 65 million years ago, a huge meteorite comparable to the size of the City of Angels struck the surface of the Earth. The destructive power brought by it directly led to the complete extinction of the Earth's overlord, the dinosaurs at that time. And now, an even more terrifying disaster was about to strike. Under the black hole, not only the humans on the surface of the Earth, but also all the life on it will be extinct. The entire Earth would be swallowed by black hole and disappear completely from the universe. Compared with the disaster that the Earth was facing today, the meteorite impact 65 million years ago was simply not worth mentioning. Episode 40, Desperate Humanity, The Arrival of Galactus. USA, Pentagon. American President, Mr. Unreliable, was fiddling with his mobile phone to check the latest comments on his Twitter. When encountering some interesting messages, the President, Mr. Unreliable, would give them a thumbs up. Mr. Unreliable might not be the greatest president of America, but he was definitely the one who was most close to the people. Just when Mr. Unreliable was enjoying himself playing Twitter, his confidant minister directly pushed open the door of his office and interrupted his movements. "Hey, you should knock on the door first, you rude fellow." While cursing, Mr. Unreliable quietly turned off the phone screen, hiding the pictures of the hot girls. "I apologize, Mr. President. But I think you have to look at this first." The confidant kept panting, and anyone could see that he was very anxious, almost rushing all the way. At the same time, he also put a copy of the information in his hand on the table, which was particularly unreliable. "NASA, huh? Have those space nerds detected any habitable planets again? In the past 6 months, I have received 20 similar reports. The ridiculous thing is that when they were finally checked, they were all false." Mr. Unreliable relentlessly spat out. He didn't have the slightest affection for NASA. But while speaking ill of it, he still read the report carefully and honestly. It's just that the more he looked at it, the more serious his face became. At the end of the report, Mr. Unreliable had a trace of madness in his eyes. "Oh my God. Tell me it's not true." Mr. Unreliable was going crazy. He couldn't believe what he saw. If his confidant now told him that all this was an April Fool's Day joke, he would never be angry. Instead, he would invite this confidant to have a drink. It's a pity that Mr. Unreliable's hope was destined to be unfulfilled. "Mr. President, it is a pity, but this report is true. Our astronauts on the space station can confirm the truth of this news. The end of the world is really coming." The confidant said with difficulty how much he hoped that this report was false, if possible. Maybe it was a joke made by some guy deliberately. If this was the case, no one would blame him. Unfortunately, the cruel facts were right in front of him, and he couldn't help but believe them. A huge black hole was coming towards the Earth. There would be at most 3 days before the Earth would be swallowed by this huge black hole. This was a disaster more terrifying than 65 million years ago. Mr. Unreliable was completely frightened and stupefied. He stood there blankly for a long time, unable to return to his senses. Then he rolled his eyes and fainted. Not only at the Pentagon, but at the headquarters of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury also learned this news. Seeing the report confirmed by NASA, Nick Fury also struggled to calm down. The end of the world was coming. At this moment, even if Nick Fury was the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., one of the most powerful men on Earth, he completely panicked at this moment. Those eyes, which were full of firmness on weekdays, at the moment, they were filled with confusion. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to deal with this crisis. The usual strategizing became a joke at the moment, and for the first time, he felt helpless when facing a difficult situation. A black hole. Could this thing be dealt with by Nick Fury? Not to mention him, all the life on the Earth combined looked extremely small in front of the black hole. This was not an existence that humans could fight against at all. Suddenly, Nick Fury thought of someone. He took out the calling machine he had cherished for more than 20 years, hesitating whether to use this last trick. Captain Marvel, the strongest individual known to Nick Fury on Earth. It was also S.H.I.E.L.D.'s greatest confidence when facing Asgard. After some hesitation, Nick Fury finally used this pager to send a message to Captain Marvel. If it was Captain Marvel, there might be a way to deal with this danger. Nick Fury thought in his heart that Captain Marvel was his only life-saving straw now. In Asgard, Odin was originally angry about Hela. At this moment, Heimdall walked in quickly. "Your Majesty, there is something important to report to you." Odin saw through the anxiety on Heimdall's face. "What's the matter? Thor got into trouble again?" "No, it has nothing to do with Thor, but there is a major crisis in Midgard." Heimdall replied. Galactus, one of the 5 great gods, appeared near Midgard. And his aim is likely to be directed at Midgard. Heimdall's insights were naturally not comparable to humans. Therefore, he could see at a glance that the one that kept approaching the Earth was not a black hole at all, but a more terrifying existence. One of the 5 founding gods, the planet devourer, referred to as Galactus. A guy who hated all cosmic races. As far as Galactus was concerned, planets were his food, and a large number of planets were eaten by Galactus every year. Not long ago, Galactus swallowed a colonial planet of the Kree Empire, resulting in him being chased and bombed by the Kree Empire's fleet. However, the fleet of Kree was just a bunch of small bugs to Galactus. It didn't hurt or itch at all. So, they didn't matter at all. Unexpectedly, the Galactus that had just swallowed the planet of the Kree Empire was now eyeing the Midgard. "Galactus, why is this guy staring at Midgard?" Odin frowned when he heard the news, which was a big deal. If someone was not strong enough, the Midgard would be gone. Although Galactus was the shame of the five great gods, it was definitely a brain problem if someone underestimated Galactus because of this. As the God-King of Asgard, Odin was very aware of the terrible Galactus. The Galactus in its heyday could be tied to Annihilation, which was known as the strongest of the five gods. Of course, Galactus in a weak state was still a bit embarrassing. Even Mephisto could beat him. The only thing Odin could count on now was that Galactus was in a weak state at this time. In this case, he could still make a move to repel Galactus. Those goddamn gods. Why don't they show up? Are they going to watch a civilization be eaten by Galactus? Odin thought a little bit uncomfortably. The biggest shit-chucking stick in the universe was definitely the Celestial Group. This organization that did things everywhere. They often used the balance of the universe as an excuse to act as a cosmic police officer. But at such a critical time, why did these people from the Celestial Group disappear? Of course, Odin was just spitting out curses. His relationship with the Celestial Group was very bad. And he would get blacked out of the Celestial Group if they caught the opportunity. Odin also knew that the Celestial Group was created by the five great gods, and Galactus was the boss of the Celestial Group. Under this circumstance, it was naturally impossible for the Celestial Group to find trouble with Galactus.